Has this been one huge cynical marketing campaign from the very beginning, with news that Sony may now be planning to show the interview on Christmas Day after all? Sources familiar with the situation tell the Dallas Morning News that Sony executives are discussing the likelihood of a Thursday release during a conference call that was scheduled to begin at 10 this morning Dallas time. The Alamo Drafthouse has also announced that it will screen the film if it becomes available. And Atlanta's Plaza Theatre has also announced that it plans to show the controversial movie on Christmas Day. So is the marketing campaign now complete? Because remember, the Guardians of Peace, the hacking group behind the breach of Sony, in their original message did not mention North Korea or the movie The Interview in their initial threat. This whole hacking scandal only became about the interview and North Korea as a result of the media narrative that was massaged by Sony in the weeks that followed the initial hack. The initial investigation of the hack strongly suggested to the FBI that it was an inside job carried out by a Sony employee who had to have had intricate knowledge of Sony's security and email system. There was no hard evidence to suggest that North Korea was behind the attack, yet this narrative was created that the North Koreans had been behind the breach as a result of them being offended at the fact that Kim Jong-un was assassinated in the movie The Interview. And to bolster the narrative that North Korea was behind the hack and that the United States was responding, North Korea's internet went down yesterday and it's just gone down again today. So the question is, was this planned all along? Is this the ultimate cynical marketing campaign with Sony reversing its decision to show the interview? Of course, they've built up all this anticipation amongst the general public to see this film, initially denying them the chance to see it. Now it appears as though it could be rolled out on Christmas Day. So if that happens, this movie is obviously going to gross far more than it would have done so otherwise. So even if you believe that the initial Sony hack was carried out by an outside party and was not an inside job, which is what a lot of evidence suggests, could they have attempted to recoup some of the cost of that hack by strong-arming this movie into the narrative by making it all about North Korea and the interview, so as to provide this build-up of anticipation to see this movie, which is now released, which will now gross many millions more than it would have done so otherwise. And of course, Sony could not have carried off this North Korea narrative without the White House's help. You know, labeling this the most unprecedented cyber attack in history, with Obama in his speech on Friday vowing to respond. Now we've got North Korean internet going down twice. And of course, this has reinvigorated support for CISPA and SOPA, two bills that were completely dead. It was zombie legislation going nowhere. Now those privacy-busting bills are going to be reintroduced and voted on as soon as next month. The resurrected version of CISPA is going to grease the skids for more internet regulation, and the resurrected version of SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, if passed, is going to make life a hell of a lot easier for Sony and those other movie studios to crack down on copyright infringement. So we see both a financial motive in building up the anticipation behind the interview. We also see a political motive in greasing the skids for SOPA, which was completely dead. Now is going to be reintroduced, it looks like, as soon as next month. So you go across the board and you see that the only people to benefit from this hack in the long run is not North Korea, is not Kim Jong-un, is not any nebulous hacker group. It's the US government and Sony. So then you ask the question, Who's likely to have been behind the attack? I wonder. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is Paul Joseph Watson reporting for Infowars.com.